guys! So I know this might be your first time seeing my face since a lot of you don't come to the Zoom meetings, but that's okay. I thought for something like trig, I'd like for you to see my face and for me to explain it because you're probably used to me teaching you from back in the classroom. So last week we did SOHCAHTOA. So trig ratios are just a ratio of sides in triangles. So we need to remember SOHCAHTOA. For sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if I had this angle right here, and I wanted to know the sine, so I think sine, it's opposite over hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is always the longest side, so this would be the hypotenuse. The side that's opposite, if you were to draw a line out of the angle, this is the opposite, and this would be the adjacent side. Okay, so this should be what you practiced last week, so you should be kind of familiar with these ratios. If you're not, you still have the acronym SOHCAHTOA to remind you what those would be. So now we're going to actually use this and use the ratios to solve triangles. So let's take a look here. So if I have this and it's 5 degrees and I know I know it's 5 degrees. Let's say I want to know what the distance of this side is. Okay? So I need to always think about the angle that you're given. So we are given this angle. So if I draw an arrow across here, this would be my opposite side. And remember, the hypotenuse is always the longest side. It's going to be whatever's across from the right angle. So this is the hypotenuse, and then this would be the adjacent side. Adjacent means next to, right? So what we have here is we have the opposite side and the adjacent side. So let's look at our options here. What are we going to use if we have the opposite and adjacent? Opposite and adjacent. We're going to use tangent. So we write this as our tangent of our angle, which is 5 degrees, will equal opposite over adjacent. So the opposite side is x, the adjacent side is 150. So now we just have to solve for that. So we need to get x by itself. How do we get x by itself? Let's multiply each side by 150. So these cancel out and I'm left with 150 times the tangent of 5 degrees, and that equals x. So you will need a calculator for this, and I suggest not using a calculator on your phone, using a real calculator because things get a little hairy when we do tangent. So in your calculator you do 150 times tangent 5, and you should get 13.12. And then this is in feet, right? Because we're measuring the side length. So this would be your answer. So let's try this one down here. So always start with, okay, what angle am I working with? We are working with this angle right here. So what do we have in relation to that? So if I draw a line straight out across, that's my opposite side. This would be my hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle and it's the longest side. And this would be the adjacent side, which we don't have. But we're looking for this one. We're looking for the opposite, and we have the hypotenuse. So what would we use if we have opposite and hypotenuse? That'd be up here. We're going to use sine. So let's write it out. So it would be the sine of our angle, 54 degrees, equals opposite over hypotenuse. And we're going to solve this the exact same way we did the other one. We're trying to get this, a variable by itself, so I'm going to multiply each side by 17. These cancel out, so 17 times the sine of 54 equals W. So plug that into your calculator. I get 13.75.